For those who don't know, my name is Abe Friedman. I'm the Intergovernment Director for Brooklyn Borough Hall, for the Borough President who's on the way. I would like to welcome each and all of you to Borough Hall for this special occasion with the meet and greet town hall with all the council members who are related to transportation and of course our counterparts in DOT and NYPD. I would like to quote what the Borough President said after the tragedy, an accident a few weeks ago. And he said, no matter if you get killed by a gunshot or by a car, vehicle, all Brooklynites suffer. And I think tonight we will have an opportunity to, of course, hear from the Transportation Department, the NYPD, and Council Chair of what we can do to reduce, of course, fatalities and improve pedestrian safety. I think the mayor is to give him credit for forming the Vision Zero, which will continuously be enforced and discussed by some of you in the crowd, and I'm hoping that all of you will find tonight a helpful event. The Borough President is on the way, so we will continue our program with Councilmember Rodriguez, who is the Chair of Transportation, New York City Council. I would like to bring him up to the podium for a minute, or, okay, thank you so much again.
First of all, thank you everyone for taking this evening to be here. This is an important forum, conversation, where this is our second one. Even though we applaud all the other town hall meeting that has been happening and many to come, we decided with the leadership of our speaker, Melissa McBiberito, to do one town hall meeting in each borough. The first one was in John Jay, the second one is taking place here, then we will go to Queens, Staten Island in the Bronx, and at the end of those 5 town hall meetings, first of all, this meeting has been officially recorded, as we did at John Jay, and our plan is to produce, to add other ideas, other suggestions that can enrich Vision Zero plan, a great initiative led by our Mayor, Bill de Blasio. So what we are hoping to do is to empower our city. Vision Zero will be a reality only if every one of us, from the governmental side, from the community advocate, from the average New Yorker, from the NYPD, teachers, everyone understand that it is our responsibility to be sure that we address a major crisis that is affecting our city. I had 2 daughters, a 7 years old and a 13-month. And I know that having the first cause of death in our city, children being a victim of car crash accidents, is something that I know that everyone is aware, and it has brought all New Yorkers together. And we are committed with the leadership of the mayor to address the issue and to eradicate that first cause of death in our city, especially for children, because they are our future. And it's possible, it's doable, and we are working in a new days in our city, where we are working closer, where the city agencies, our commissioners, our elected officials, our leaders in the NYPD, and teachers and Commissioner of Health, and it has committed to address this important issue. Our plan is to have the opportunity where everyone who wants to give the input on other legislation, their reaction to what has been proposed, to have the opportunity to do it. We did it in John Jay, where there were 2 minutes for our elected officials and 1 minute for our participants. And we did it very well. In 1 minute, everyone, first of all, we did it very brief, and the public also had the opportunity to come, take the microphone. We would like to hear new ideas, new suggestions. And if anybody else already has addressed, has shared some other ideas, just give it the opportunity to somebody else, because it's like, now it's like 7:15, 7:20, I think, 7:15. So With that, since this is a forum for all of you to come and give us the opportunity, we don't want to take more time. We agree that there's a major crisis affecting our city, having the first cause of death, especially for children, being victims of car crash accidents. I think that that's enough for us to say, let's come together, let's work together. Vision Zero already has been taking place. DOT and the NYPD and TLC, everyone already had taken some step toward implementing Vision Zero. But we would like that at the end of the 5th town hall meeting to come back to you and report on some legislation, and probably it will open a new day in New York City, where new legislation also can be a type of participatory legislation forum, when legislation also can be produced from the floor, from people that come and bring good and important ideas. So with that, I would like to first call my colleagues in government. I'm from Manhattan, now Brooklyn is a hot spot, so everyone is talking about Brooklyn. And the mayor, from Brooklyn, I was here when we were in the last day making Melissa Magby-Berito our speaker for New York City, the New York City Council, and it is with her leadership that we are holding this hearing too. So with that, I would like first to call my colleague, Councilmember Gentile.
Thank you, Chairman Rodriguez, and welcome back to Brooklyn. It's good to have you back, and Commissioner Trottenberg and Chief Chan, thank you for being part of this forum here tonight. And to everyone out there, recently we had reports that the population in Brooklyn has grown to about 2.5 million people. And it's clear to all of us who live here that it is a crowded place, and pedestrian safety is becoming more and more of an issue as the population continues to grow in our area, and certainly vehicular traffic is plentiful. And that's why I'm a little bit disappointed in learning that the funding for speed cameras around schools was not included in the state budget that was just passed. And that's disappointing, but I am encouraged by the fact that our Speaker of the Assembly, Shelley Silver, has introduced legislation to add 140 of those cameras around the school zones. So if that legislation passes, we will have that as reality. So let's hope that that legislation does go forward before the session is over. We, as our chairman has said, want to hear from you, and that's what the forum is about. I see a lot of my colleagues starting to fill in here, so I'll finish by just saying thank you very much. There are issues, and some of the issues may be particular to certain parts of the borough, but we want to hear those issues and come up with a vision for Brooklyn. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Gentile. Now, there's the opportunity to pass it. Sure, that's fine. Okay. Now, then also, first of all, let's welcome our Manhattan Borough President, our Brooklyn Borough President. Come on. I got it. Borough President Adam, but first now let's call our Councilmember Dutch.
Thank you very much, Chair Rodriguez. First of all, I think, are you getting a double salary now? No, okay. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for being here tonight. And Councilman Rodriguez has a very strict 2-minute guideline on the speakers, and you're the second person that gave me 2 minutes. My wife gave me 2 minutes to take out the garbage. Now, I want to say that in my district, the 48 Council District, we already had 3 fatalities over the last few months. And it's very unpleasant when I visited these families to see what they go through. It's very, it's just watching them, brings you to tears. And sometimes people don't realize that when they're driving, and even if someone does not cause a fatality but an injury, they don't realize what effect this does on not only that person, on the families, on the friends, on the acquaintances, on the neighbors. So we need to focus, and I'm a strong supporter of Vision Zero, and I'm a proud supporter. And by the way, I did a study, and we found that most people that come to the Vision Zero town hall meetings are the reckless drivers. So you're all getting a summons here. They want to see what kind of enforcement we're going to be doing. But this is something we want to listen to the community. We want to hear your concerns. Nobody knows their community better than you do. You know your street corners. You know the dangerous intersections. Although we have a great commissioner, our DOT commissioner and borough commissioners, but again, no one knows your community, no one knows your street corners better than you do, and that's what we're here for. We want to listen to you. We want to listen to your concerns. We want to listen to your issues. We want to hear what intersections, what streets, what needs improvement, and what initiatives we can take as elected officials, as well as the police department, to improve our streets. So again, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It's very important, not just for me as the council member representing you in the 48th Council District and the City of New York, but I want to thank you on behalf of your friends, your neighbors, and the people who are not here tonight. So I hope you'll pass the message on that you'll be hearing from some of our speakers. So thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's hear Councilmember Menchaca.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches. My name is Carlos Menchaca, council member for District 38, Sunset Park and Red Hook. Do I have any Red Hook, Sunset Park residents in the house? Okay, I saw some hands. This is not going to come up. Okay, so you've already heard so much of what we're here to do. We're all concerned about our streets. They need to be safer, we need to be able to have livable streets, and we need to bring the creativity of so many of our residents that understand them to the table, which is why we're here today. So great to see NYPD here, so great to see our Commissioner Trottenberg here, and our Chair Idanis Rodriguez. We need to get him out to Brooklyn more, so we can make sure that he represents in the best way. But our Brooklyn council members are very, very concerned, and we want to make sure that you're at the table, and specifically because you need to shape this. We're here not just today, but we're also in our district offices to make sure that we continue that conversation. We don't want to stop that conversation today. So let's just get it back to you. We want to hear from you and our presenters. And I'll say that I'm committed to making sure Vision Zero works for you. Thank you.
Thank you. But I know that I'm safe here in Brooklyn. My brother here and I, we know each other like for 20 years. So we've been working for a long period of time together before we got elected to office. So we know that we are here committed to work as a team. But before I call the DOT to do a presentation, I want to give a big round of applause to the men and women of the NYPD who are here with us. I always say that even though I participate in civil disobedience, at the end of the day, I need to be sure that my two daughters walk in the streets safe. So they know that you are the one who keep our city safe. So thank you for the work that you do in our city. Now let's hear from our commissioner, from the DOT commissioner, who's been doing a great job. Someone that from day one, she has shown us that she is a leader that believes in inclusion, and she's been listening to us and had no doubt that the year that she will be serving as a commissioner, she's going to be doing a great job. So let's receive with a big round of applause Commissioner Trottenberg.
Thank you. Is this on? Yes, it's on. Thank you, Chairman Rodriguez and Borough President Adams and Council Members Gentile and Deutsch and Menchaca for being here, and thank you for your leadership. And this is an amazing turnout. I knew Brooklyn would have the biggest crowd, and sure enough, you have produced it. I also want to thank my DO team that's here, our Borough Commissioner Joel Palmieri, our Deputy Commissioner Keith Bray, who I think is in the back. It is wonderful to have partners like the NYPD, but I have a terrific team at DOT that has been hard at work on Vision Zero. I also want to echo something that the chairman said. I mean, obviously, I want to give our sympathies to the families here in Brooklyn who've lost loved ones. It is a very painful experience, and it is part of what is driving us in Vision Zero. They are the reason that we are here tonight. And I'm happy to say at DOT over the past few years, we've done a lot of work on pedestrian-oriented projects and designs. And I think we've already been hard at work on making our streets safer. Some of the projects we've done in boroughs all over the city, we've reduced fatalities anywhere from 20 to 88%. And we've done a lot of common sense changes to intersections, shortening crossing distances, improving visibility and predictability, and making sure that everyone who uses the streets, pedestrians, drivers, cyclists, buses, they know where they're supposed to be on the road. As Councilmember Gentili mentioned, Brooklyn now hitting 2.5 million people. We've been doing a lot of work in the borough. We have a lot more to do. We've done some work in Park Slope on 4th Avenue, traffic calming on Pennsylvania Avenue. But with Vision Zero, part of our goal this year that the mayor has tasked us with is going even further and doing even more. And some of the things we've been talking about, and you'll hear a presentation tonight, one that I know is of big interest here in Brooklyn, doing some real aggressive strategies on 25 big arterials throughout the streets like Atlantic Avenue, slowing down speeds, doing traffic calming. We know that is going to make a huge difference around the city. We're going to put in more speed humps, better lighting. We're going to do a terrific ad campaign. We're going to 500 schools per year. We're going to be working with vulnerable groups on the streets, seniors, children, people with disabilities, to make sure that we're doing street designs that are going to meet their needs and ensure their safety. And as was mentioned, we are going to also be working with our partners up in Albany. We are committed to seeing if we can get more local control for the city in terms of speed cameras and setting our own speed limit. Those are tremendously important things for safety. So thank you again. I really want to thank the speaker and Chairman Rodriguez for having these town hall meetings all over the city. We are really looking forward to your comments, and this is just a fantastic turnout, so I'm so glad to see you. I'm now going to turn it over to Warren Gardner at DOT, and he's going to just give a quick overview of what the whole Vision Zero action plan is. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm just going to give you all a brief overview of the Vision Zero action plan. So, you know, Vision Zero is Mayor de Blasio's vision to eradicate the traffic fatalities on our city streets. It's a bold, ambitious, exciting vision, but it's very attainable. You know, we at DOT and the other agencies believe that there are no acceptable levels of crashes on our streets. So during his first few days in office, the mayor has charged the DOT, the NYPD, the TLC, and several other city agencies to come up with a plan of action to help stop these crashes on our streets. So because of that, we came up with a 63-point plan, which we have some copies of in the back that you can always take with you on your way out. As we mentioned, you know, Vision Zero is not just, you know, a dream or a policy that the mayor has put forward. It's actually more of a mindset change. And, you know, we think that this is the impetus of how we are going to see Vision Zero come to fruition. We really have to change the way we look at how we move around on the streets, you know, whether we're drivers, cyclists, or pedestrians. And another thing that we really have to kind of look at is how we view these collisions. You know, we call them accidents, but they're not accidents. You know, accidents can't be prevented. But, you know, these are crashes, and this is, you know, if we start to really view them as crashes, as things that can be prevented, we can change the mindset of how, you know, we move around in the streets. You know, 30 years ago, it was okay for, you know, you to go out after work or on a Friday with some friends and coworkers and have a drink and just get in your car and drive away. But now it's against the law, and we changed those laws first by changing the mindset of how we view these laws, and that's what we're really trying to get to with Vision Zero. So, you know, as you can see, you know, the numbers are glaring. You know, you have 4,000 New Yorkers who are severely injured on our streets, and, you know, roughly 250 who are killed. And, you know, 4,000 people, that's, you know, it's almost 11 people per day who are seriously injured in crashes on our streets. And a lot of this is due to, you know, poor driver choice, you know, whether it's failing to yield to a pedestrian or speeding. You know, we found those to be like the primary causes of a lot of these crashes. So in order for Vision Zero to work, we really need not just the agencies that the mayor has charged in order to get this done, but we need everybody here in this room and in our communities. You know, we need all the civic leaders, all the community leaders, and all the concerned citizens in our city to really come together. So, you know, we're going to be coming back to Brooklyn. We're going to really be getting more involved, and we want you guys to really help us pinpoint those areas throughout the city, but primarily in your neighborhoods, in your corridors, where you think Vision Zero needs to be implemented. We're also going to be doing some work in some of our schools and our senior centers. You know, we're trying to get to you know, kids while they're younger and try to really educate them about the dangers of our streets. So this is you know, one of the campaigns that we're conducting now. We've already started this week, where we're going to be handing out flyers like these at some of the major crash corridors that we've seen throughout the city. We've started already this week, and we've seen that the reception on these has been tremendous throughout where we've been advertising so far. You know, this is another one of our campaigns, our anti-drunk driving campaign. You know, the mayor said it best. You know, when you get in your car, you take the lives of your neighbors and your friends and community members in our hands. You know, and it's all about a choice that you make to, you know, if you've been drinking, it's a choice that you make to get into your car. You know, so we're just trying to get folks to think about the choices that we're making when we're out and about. Another major partner to the DOT and the NYPD in Vision Zero is the TLC. You're going to hear from them shortly, but you know, they're really stepping up and doing a lot of work and training their drivers, giving them better training and training them more often. But also, more importantly, they're going to be doing a lot of partnerships with some of the local commercial fleets. You know, out here in Brooklyn, you have, you know, all of the commuter vans that will go up and down Brooklyn, and they really kind of set the tone for how we move around in our streets. But we're going to be doing a lot more work with them to get them to change their mindset as well about how they move around in our streets, so we can keep more people safe. And as you'll also hear, NYPD is also going to be stepping up enforcement in a lot of the areas that we see the majority of these crashes, you know, with speeding and failure to yield to pedestrians, and some of the other enforcement tools that the NYPD is going to be using throughout the city. And in conjunction, the NYPD and the TLC are also going to be looking into, you know, increasing their resources to use more investigative tools to help district attorneys and other law enforcement agencies who are going to be investigating some of these crashes. And in addition, the TLC is going to be looking into more technological resources, like using black boxes and, you know, some speed sensors in some of their cars to help with their drivers as well. So this graph here kind of shows, you know, the use of the red light cameras. We all know as part of Vision Zero, we're going to also be increasing the automated, you know, automated cameras that we use throughout the city. And this graph shows you where we've used cameras in the last 20 years and how they've dramatically reduced the amount of pedestrian fatalities and injuries where we've used them. And we've also noticed the same amount of reduction in some of other major cities like Washington, D.C. and Chicago, who have also seen crashes and fatalities go down. Another part of Vision Zero is also trying to get our laws strengthened up in Albany. As the commissioner mentioned, you know, we need more cameras, and we need to be able to set where we can use the cameras. Currently, state law limits how we can use these cameras, and they can only be used during school hours and in school zones. And we've noticed that the majority of crashes have occurred outside of normal school hours and normally at night, and a lot of the victims tend to be the elderly. So we want to be able to use these cameras at different times of the day in different parts of the city because we feel that will be a little bit more effective. And as the commissioner mentioned, you know, we also want to be able to set our speed limit. You know, we all know that speed kills, and the 30 miles an hour that we have now is just way too fast. You know, people are going well above 30, So we want to be able to set our speed limit back to 25. And we're also going to be looking at, some new designs for some trucks. We're seeing a lot of people get hit by turning trucks, and then they'll roll underneath the trucks and get run over by the back wheels. But so some of the things we're looking at is to try and see if we can get some side and rear guards on some of these trucks that are rolling through our streets in the city. And we're also working with the mayor's office for people with disabilities. Vision Zero is going to work for all of us throughout the city. So, we're doing some major changes, which we've already started here at DOT, and we're going to be expanding some major changes to help folks who either can't see or can't see very well cross the street, and those who need a little bit more time to cross the street as well. So, for a while, DOT has been making some of these major street designs. We've noticed that, just by doing some very simple designs, we've been able to reduce crashes from 20 to 88%, depending on the design and where we've implemented them throughout the city. And as part of Vision Zero, we're going to be doing 50 major projects per year. And as the commissioner mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of work here in Brooklyn, and especially on Atlantic as well. But as you can see, from this rendition, this is just a rendition of a street where it's a little unclear what people are doing or where they're supposed to be going. But some of the work that we've done on streets like this is just kind of make it a little bit more easy and visible for the people who use the streets, the pedestrians. Shortening the distances for people to cross, and giving them clear markings on lanes of where to go. This is an example of Carlton Avenue and Park Place, where you see, the cross marks are clearly marked, the bike lane is clear, so everyone who uses the street, whether you're a driver, a pedestrian, or a cyclist, you know where you're supposed to be on this street. This is another rendition of, part of Vision Zero is we're really going to be focusing on a lot of the large arterials, like Atlantic and some of the large ones that we have out here in Brooklyn. So, you can see that biker on the bottom left there, and there's no clear markings on the streets, but part of the work that we've done and are going to continue to be doing here in DOT is making, these streets a little bit more clearer for everyone who uses them. You see the clear bike lanes, the clear bus lanes, crosswalks, and a lot of these designs also make the streets, more predictable for the drivers, the pedestrians, and the cyclists, and they make them more forgiving, so that if you're a cyclist or a pedestrian and you didn't time correctly how much time you need to cross the street, or if you're driving and you do get into a crash, it doesn't cost you or someone else their lives. This is another example of Columbia Street, where you see the bike lanes are clearly marked and the markings on the street are clear for everyone who uses them as well. This is Metropolitan Avenue and Humboldt Street, where you see two people in the middle of the street. No one really knows which way to go, or who goes first, or who moves. So some of the work that we've done, have included putting a pedestrian island in the middle of the street, so that pedestrian knows where he's supposed to be. The drivers know where he is, and everyone clearly knows where they're supposed to be on the street. And we're also going to be, as part of Vision Zero, is augmenting some of the designs that we have already been working on and will continue to be working on, with some arterial slow zones where you and your neighborhood can actually apply for some of these zones, and we at DOT will come out and take a look and see how we can work with the community on them. So we're rolling up our sleeves here at DOT with the other agencies, and we're looking to roll up our sleeves with you all here as well. So this is some of the upcoming events that we're going to be having. As the commissioner mentioned, we're going to be coming back to Brooklyn, and we're going to be doing some workshops where that's the more in-depth version of these town halls, where we're going to be bringing out maps, and we're going to be relying on you to come out and point out where on your streets, on your blocks, and on your corridors you think Vision Zero needs to be implemented. And this is where we really need you to step in and help us figure it out. So, if you haven't had an opportunity, we invite you to, to visit our website, the Vision Zero website. It's going to have a lot of great information about what we're doing, and allows you an opportunity as well to chime in on where you think Vision Zero is needed. That's our presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I thought it was important that oftentimes we talk about this issue and we don't put a face to the impact, to the 18 names who died in this borough over vehicle accidents. And one of them is here today, Rochelle Charles, who lost her 5-year-old son. That's walking in now. And I thought about it when I read that her 5-year-old son was killed when a vehicle was backing up. And I started to think about the first 5 years of my son. And Rochelle would not have the joy of going to Little League games. She would not have the joy of going to his public school graduation. There are no photos on the wall to see his junior high school graduation. She's not going to be there to see him his first day in college. She's not going to watch him walk across the stage and call mom and talk about the days that he would have had, good days and bad days. These are not just merely about numbers. This is not about stats. This is about the pain that never ends. It never dissipates. It never stops hurting. So it doesn't matter if it's young 5-year-old Charles or 75-year-old grandmother who was killed in a vehicle accident. We must get serious about this issue. 2 years ago, we started talking about 20 miles an hour, the difference between taking a life and causing injury, and people thought it was impossible. We have to surrender and wrestle away the rights that the state is making on how our streets should be safe. Albany does not live on Albany Avenue in Brooklyn while children are dying. And so I commend Ms. Charles for coming here today. And her son should be a picture that all of us should realize how much this impacts families. We cannot allow Brooklyn to stay the most deadliest street in the city. That is unacceptable. And those 18 family members, I'm tired of seeing our streets adorned with white bikes to indicate and reflect when someone has lost their life because of a vehicle accident. The streets of yesteryears have changed. We now share our streets with bicyclists, skateboarders, and children who are often intimidated by the speeding and driving habits. And those who continue to abuse their driving, we heard it clear from the Department of Transportation when they indicated that a lot of these accidents are caused by reckless driving. And we need to look at and think outside the box as some of the legislation that's being introduced through the City Council of putting sirens on plowed vehicles, or to look at our speed cameras that we are having a difficult time navigating Albany legislative body to get more speed cameras. We have to fight to get street speed cameras in front of school buildings. How horrendous is that? And so these are challenging times, but we can lead the way. I know these hearings are taking place throughout the entire city, but there's something about Brooklyn. Brooklyn is the place where we push the agenda and move the needle forward, and we darn sure going to do it on this issue. We're going to lead the way in the borough of Brooklyn to make sure that we decrease, if not eradicate, the endless and senseless lives that are lost because of vehicle accidents. And the police department has done a layman job when you look at the stats and the numbers. Years ago, they started what was called traffic stats, where they went out and analyzed every vehicle accident. And under Chief Scagnelli, we saw a substantial decrease in vehicle accidents. Now we must go to the next level. There's nowhere you have to go to in this city that you have to go at 30 miles an hour. 20 miles an hour must be the speed limit in this city, and Albany must pass that legislation now. And so I'm excited that we have members of the city councils, Adonis Rodriguez, who's chairing the Transportation Committee, is leading this charge, and the entire Brooklyn delegation, and even our colleagues from the Bronx has also joined us, Councilwoman Gibson. And no one has been more of a leader around this issue with a clarion voice than our public advocate, Letitia James, who has just walked in. And so we're going to unite around this issue. But the real applause does not go to those of us who were elected. It goes to the public. I have witnessed across the borough family members who have lost loved ones. They allow their pain to turn into purpose. And if you will look on the laws that are on the books now, the most important pieces of legislation that makes its way through Albany and the city council came because family members decided to pick up the mantle and move it forward. And so I'm asking all of the family members to join Ms. Charles and others, to unify together, to send a strong message that this is the year that we are going to have safe streets. We're going to ensure that our family members can move in a safe fashion. We're going to ensure that good legislation is passed. We're going to start a movement that would demand and force our legislators from Albany to the city to implement bills and legislation that the roadways of this city and state will be safe. And I think in the memory of young Charles, we can send a serious statement that is going to be done this year. So I thank you for coming out. I thank you for those who are packed this courtroom and the overflow room downstairs in our community room. This is a clear display of how serious this issue is. And we will not take it lightly. My colleagues are here to say and let you know we will push this agenda forward. Thank you very much.
So only our Brooklyn Borough President, since he's our host, the hosting person, he can take any as long as he wants. But now we go back to 2 minutes because there's like 50 people who also want to address and bring the comment. And 1 minute each, it means 50 minutes. So we want to be sure that we get back on track on the times. So now let's hear from our public advocate, Tish Chen.
Wow, okay. So, good evening, everyone. Most of you know me from my former life as a city council member, representing the district which unfortunately had the reputation of having the highest number of fatalities in the borough of Brooklyn. Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, Prospect Heights, Crown Heights, and parts of Bedford-Stuyvesant. And I see so many of my friends. And all of you know, just before I was elected as the public advocate, I believe it was the night of election night where we had a memorial. In honor of Lucien Merriweather. He was an 8-year-old child who's lost his life at DeKalb and Carlton. And we all gathered. It was on the night of the election. I'll never forget it. And throughout my career, the 10 years where I was in city council, we had so many memorials, too many. And you all know that we joined together with Transportation Alternatives and with our wonderful commissioner, Brooklyn Commissioner of DOT, and I'm glad you're still on the job, to talk about these issues, to talk about slow zones, pedestrian plazas, dedicated bus lanes, making sure that lights were staggered. So before they cut me off, I'm going to take my seat, but I join with all of my members of my city council and the new commissioner in making sure that when you cross the street in the city of New York, it should not be a matter of life and death. Let us focus on Atlantic Avenue, Commissioner, Flatbush Avenue, Commissioner, Eastern Parkway, Commissioner, Empire Boulevard, Commissioner, Utica, Pennsylvania Avenue, Kings Highway, and the list goes on and on and on. Thank you, Brooklyn.
Now let's hear from the chairman of the Public Safety Committee, who is also one of the co-chair of this Vision Zero initiative, Councilmember Vanessa Gibson.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Brooklyn. Thank you so much for having me today. I want to first thank our incredible Borough President, Mr. Eric Adams, for signing off on my pass so I can come across the bridge and come to Brooklyn. Thank you. And to my council colleagues, Transportation Chair Adonis Rodriguez, our public advocate, to all of our stakeholders, DOT, TLC, the Mayor's Office, the NYPD, it's truly a pleasure to see all of you here. I am Councilwoman Vanessa Gibson. I'm proud to represent the Bronx. I chair the Committee on Public Safety, and certainly I am thankful for your presence here today. Understanding that Mayor de Blasio had an aggressive plan called Vision Zero. And this is a framework that's going to have critical conversations around safety for pedestrians, drivers, bicyclists, for all New Yorkers that are traveling on our streets. These are the types of conversations that we want to have, and we are here to hear your input and your concerns. And while our public advocate talked a lot about streetscaping, countdown crosswalks, pedestrian plazas, neighborhood slow zones, reducing the city's speed limit, not to 25, but 20 miles per hour, I also want to pay particular attention to people with disabilities, those who have visual and hearing impairments that cannot see a countdown crosswalk. We also want to make sure that whatever we do, we respect and are sensitive to the needs of the disabled community.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. I'm Councilmember Steve Levin. I represent downtown Brooklyn here. I want to start out by giving a shout out to Councilmember Gibson's mom and uncle, who are with us in the audience as well. The Brooklyn residents. Welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to be here today. Because what we have seen over the last couple of months with the de Blasio administration, Commissioner Trottenberg, Chief Chan, and all of the resources at City Hall is that Vision Zero is going to be a priority. In this administration, Vision Zero is going to be a top priority. They wasted no time in making sure that this is something that we are going to see in our neighborhoods, on our streets. I want to thank the leadership of Borough President Eric Adams, Public Advocate Letitia James, and Department of Transportation and NYPD, who are all here. I'll tell you, in my district, I've seen just in the last couple of months several fatalities of people who have families, have lives, who were enjoying riding their, a gentleman was riding his motorcycle on a Sunday afternoon. A young woman was walking home with her family, a nursing student at Hunter College. They lost their lives. Their families lost a daughter or a son or a brother or sister. And we have to rededicate ourselves time and again to making sure that no family goes through that pain, that no family suffers the senseless loss of losing a loved one for no reason, and for something that could have been prevented or something that could have been avoided.
Pedestrians, disobeying signs, signal light violations, improper turns, also using cell phones and texting at the time. The police department is also updating our technology. We're updating our equipment. Some of our systems are old, and we are in the process of updating and also improving those areas of computers and the analysis of the information. We are increasing our personnel in our highway units that deal with speed summonses. We're also looking at our training of our officers, both new and old, in the police academy. And ultimately, we look to collaborate with all the community and all the agencies in this Vision Zero. Now, one of the things I mentioned earlier is the town hall meetings. The town hall meetings have been great. Actually, Manhattan Town Hall meeting the other day, a young lady mentioned something to effect about Department of Motor Vehicles and the exam, asking about yielding to pedestrians. And that brought the thought to me when I was sitting in Department of Motor Vehicles. I said, they have TV monitors there, and people are sitting there 30 minutes to 40 minutes in the Department of Motor Vehicles. Why not produce a public service announcement and have these motorists watch those, because you're sitting there for 40 minutes. Our office is now in contact with the Department of Motor Vehicles to look at that issue. So in other words, Town Hall is a great opportunity. You folks have the ideas, and we're going to work with those ideas to make Vision Zero become a reality. So in summary, we're going to collaborate together. We're going to reduce the collisions and deal with the injuries and also the fatalities, and we look forward to working with all of you. Thank you very much.
Now let's hear from TLC, Colin Flo, Chief Operating Officer.
Hi, good evening. Just to keep this quick, I want to thank the Borough President, the Public Advocate, Chairman Rodriguez, and all the other council members, and my colleagues from city government. At TLC, we're looking at sort of three things. Education. We have 110,000 licensed drivers that we need to educate to be who are safe drivers, who are very safe, but can always become safer. We have over 1.2 million passengers a day in our licensed vehicles, and we need to educate people how to become safe pedestrians, and also occasionally they become safe drivers. We're looking at technology in the cars about whether to put black boxes in, whether we're buying speed guns for our enforcement officers to increase our enforcement. And the last thing we're looking at is enforcement itself, to target enforcement on our licensees who are not always necessarily playing by the rules, and when they do, we are going to take the corrective action. So that's the TLC program, and I'm going to wrap it up fast.
Let's hear from Transportation Authority, Deputy Director Noah Bodley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Noah Budnick. I'm the Deputy Director of Transportation Alternatives. And I'll be very brief because really I want to hear from everybody here tonight about how we're going to achieve Vision Zero. In Brooklyn first, as a Brooklynite, I want Brooklyn to lead the way. And for New York City and other cities around the country that are taking note of us New Yorkers and what we're doing. I want to thank the Borough President for his leadership on this and his words. And I want to especially thank Ms. Charles for coming here tonight. I live a few blocks from Eastern Parkway in Flatbush, and this tragedy really hit me when I heard the news. And for you to be here tonight, Ms. Charles, I want to thank you for your energy, for taking a stand, and for just reminding all of us that it will take all of us to achieve Vision Zero. It will take full participation. And I hope that we'll all be emissaries of safety, that we are all here taking action, but we need to go, we need to talk to our families, we need to talk to our neighbors, we need to talk about the dangers of speeding, we need to remind each other about safety, about driving safely on the streets of New York, of Brooklyn, the 4th largest city in the country. We can do this if we all do it together. There are just three last points I want to make, so take out your calendars because they're all important dates. The first is this Friday, Transportation Alternatives. We're a 40-year-old nonprofit. We've been working with communities around the city to help them win safer streets. And this Friday at Atlantic and Court, we're having our first Friday Night Lights event. We're doing a pedestrian safety event where we're helping people cross Atlantic Avenue safely. Last week, Commissioner Trottenberg announced the DOT is going to be taking action to improve Atlantic Avenue, and we want to support the DOT on this. Yep. It's these big streets like Atlantic Avenue. These are 10% of city streets, but 50% of the traffic deaths. So it's smart to start there and take a big bite out of the traffic fatalities in New York City. And so Friday night at 7 o'clock, we'll be showing our support. We'll be helping people cross Atlantic Avenue safely. The second date, May 6th, that will be our day of action in Albany. And I want all of you there to help call in Albany to bring safe streets to New York City. Albany should not set the speed limit in New York City. And we need your voices there. We'll be going with families who have lost loved ones. We'll be going with people who have suffered traffic violence. We need to tell our stories. We need to remind ourselves why we're doing this. We're doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for our children. We're doing this for our seniors. We're doing this for people who are not as fleet of foot moving around the city. Our streets need to be forgiving. So May 6th, come to Albany. And then the last thing is, the last Thursday of every month, Transportation Alternatives, Brooklyn activists get together. Transportation Alternatives, we're a nonprofit organization. We connect the dots. We work with communities. We hear your issues, your problems. We help you solve them. And it starts by coming and talking to us. So we have meetings every month. We want to engage with you. This is how Vision Zero started from the ground up. It's a testament to Mayor de Blasio that he has us nonprofits here at the table with all the agencies. It really shows his commitment to community engagement. And I invite you to come last Thursday of the month.